How's it going guys, Chris here, checking out another Battlefield Hardline gun, and today I'll be covering the MX4 that released alongside the Betrayal DLC. So the MX4, or should I say the Beretta MX4 Storm, is an Italian submachine gun, and the military version of the CX4 pistol caliber carbine. The MX4 Storm fires in an automatic mode, and is capable of using both pistol magazines and its own magazine. The weapon's fitted with its very own accessory rail on its top for mounting optics and other things, and there's also another rail underneath to cater for those grips, laser sights and flashlights, making it a great weapon for Battlefield. Now the last time we saw the MX4 in the franchise wasn't all that long ago in Battlefield 4, as it was categorised as a PDW and a default weapon for the engineer class. In Hardline though, the MX4 is a mechanic only gun, though it's available for both the police and criminal factions, so you don't have to worry about those limitations getting in the way. The thing about the MX4 is it's an extremely similar gun to the M5 Navy, to the point where the only difference between them is a slight alteration in recoil pattern, reload time and weapon spread. So this video might sound very similar to the M5 Navy one in terms of most of the things that the gun does well, and not all that great. But anyway, swiftly moving on to the MX4's positive factors first of all. To start off with, the MX4 fires at a speed of 800 RPM. Now it's definitely not the quickest of the lot, but it's higher than a good portion of the other SMGs in Hardline. And because it's not an absolute speed devil, it makes the gun less of a spray and pray weapon, allowing you to control that rate of fire rather than letting the rate of fire control you. 800 RPM often seems like a nicely balanced fire rate, without it being too fast or too slow, and it gets the job done nicely. Another good thing that the MX4 has under its belt is a fairly decent range. Just like the M5 Navy, it's got the same damage graph. This is also where I can highlight a negative point about the gun, which is the MX4's damage. The maximum damage of the gun is just 20, but this starts to drop off after 25 meters, and the drop off ends at 35 meters where that minimum damage of only 8 is dealt. So the MX4 has a fairly low damage compared to a lot of the other mechanic guns, but the range at which that damage drop off begins is longer than most of them too. This basically means that you'll be able to kill another guy in 5 bullets minimum up close, which is quite a few. But this doesn't start to increase till you're about 25 meters away, and from this point it's going to take more and more bullets to land successfully to put them down, up to 35 meters where it could take up to 13 bullets to kill a target. Now 13 bullets to take out an enemy is quite a lot, but thankfully with the MX4's generous fire rate you can get more bullets out in a shorter amount of time, helping to balance the gun out a bit. Though if you're up against a K10 or Scorpion up close, the MX4 just might not have enough speed or power to win the shootout. Now just like the M5 Navy, the reload times for the MX4 are slightly higher than average, and it's going to take a little bit more time to swap those magazines around. Probably not enough to notice too badly, but it just might affect some outcomes in a firefight. With a tactical reload time of 2.3 seconds and a normal reload time of 3.3 seconds, which is a tiny bit higher than the M5 Navy, the MX4 doesn't really have a quick reload time. You're obviously not going to be floundering around for too long like you would with an LMG, but it's a tiny difference that could make a difference. Recoil wise, once again, the weapon's not too different from the M5 Navy, though the MX4's got a slightly less leftwards recoil with an upwards pattern of 0.3, a leftwards pattern of 0.2 and a rightwards pattern of 0.25. The MX4 is not going to do anything to put your shots completely off target, as it's not too erratic, though its vertical value is a bit higher than the average mechanic weapon, though it's nothing to really count as a big issue. You'll probably notice the gun drifting mainly upwards and slightly to the right as you fire in full auto, with that leftwards pattern being a lower value than the vertical and rightwards figures. So let's talk attachments. As for the barrel attachment, because the gun mainly bounces upwards when you pull that trigger, the compensator might be a good option to stick on there to reduce that down by 40% from 0.3 to just 0.18. This is going to make the control of the weapon much easier, and you should find those close quarter targets a bit easier to hit. The MX4 is better used in closer range situations before that damage drop off, and this would make a good option. Though it will increase the horizontal values a bit, making it a little less accurate in longer distance shootouts, as more of your shots are likely to bounce to the sides. But if you'd rather play it safe, and cater more for those medium ranges, the muzzle brake will probably do fine to add onto the gun and give it an overall increase in accuracy. When going for the grip, probably the best option to go for here would be the stubby grip. The reason being is because the weapon fires in full auto, and it fires at a relatively quick speed. The stubby is going to reduce spread increase per bullet by 50%, grouping your shots closer together in automatic fire. The spread increase per shot on the MX4 is 0.2, a value that's actually higher than the M5 Navy, along with quite a lot of other guns in the mechanic's arsenal too. So the stub is going to help out quite a lot more than the other grips on offer here. So overall, as you've probably established, the Beretta MX4 Storm has a lot in common with the M5 Navy. Apart from a couple of minor tweaks, there's a lot of similarities, including the positives and the negatives. The MX4's got a nice fire rate of 800 RPM, that's going to be enough in most cases to get those bullets down range quick enough to secure your kills. It's got a slight range advantage over a number of the other mechanic guns, though it doesn't pack quite as much of a punch to help balance it out. Its recoil pattern isn't anything to really cry about, but its reload time on the other hand is on the slightly higher side. Shouldn't cause too much of a fuss, but it's a factor that's still worth noting. But generally the MX4 is a good weapon to bring along to the battlefield in run and gun, close quarter situations. It might not be the most powerful gun of them all, but it sure shouldn't be underestimated. So anyway folks, that's all I've got for you in this one. Make sure you subscribe to see loads of other videos, and give that like button a click if you enjoyed the guide and found it useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.